Okay, let's do this.
Okay. Well, this is what season 1, week or episode 3. We'll get this down.
Yeah,
And
season one,
then
episode 3.
we had a few starting technical issues, but those have been resolved. He said curiously. I still don't ever believe that we've solved it. I like to. I'm one of those people that never believes it's solved until 3 months down the line when we're like, oh, we haven't had that issue in a while. I've been hurt too many times. But yeah, I'm Joe. We're doing
And I'm
names now,
James.
and we are procrastination and the other one,
Procrastination.
procrastination.
Productivity and procrastination.
That's the one.
Oh.
So if you haven't noticed, the new YouTube looks really good. We've got background image. My thing's freaking out. Peanut butter. We got a background image, and we've got like an icon, which, I mean, thank you, James and Heather, for that. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And then let's talk about goals. Did you end up watching the video last night?
No, but I did watch it very recently.
Okay.
And so it all worked out, but I've been busy, so
Yeah. What have you been working on?
I've been working on goals, Joe.
All right.
Goals.
How's your goals doing?
My goals went great. I did a lot, actually. So
Let's hear it.
Okay. If I remember correctly, we only had a few. I did every goal that I was supposed to do, as far
Oh
as
wow.
I know. Um, I cleaned my
Right.
desk, which is very pleasant.
Is it still clean?
Yes, I have an extra notebook here because now there's two. But yeah, the only thing I have extra here is I have my phone that apparently I threw down, and I have some lighting things that obviously aren't working very well on the desk, and my coffee. Everything else is just where my pen goes on my tablet thing is out. No, I mean there's a little bit of smegginess going on, but most of it is
Because I think
pretty
that's
good.
like a new goal of yours to like just make sure your desk is semi-clean every week.
Yeah, I cleaned it off a little bit before we started. It's good. It's pleasant.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Got my notebook where it belongs. I ended up
Where'd you end up putting your notebook?
to the left, which is I liked that. We did the picture and the banner.
Mm-hmm. Which looks really good.
Thank you. And I got my Photoshop updated with Adobe whatchamacallit, and then I got my pad, which took a while to get working because apparently it had some kind of problem with a stuck power button, so I ended up taking a chisel and
Oh.
I'm like, well, it's either gonna break or not, and got it finally free, and so it works. I tested out my pen, been charging everything since then. Everything seems to work fine. I like the feel of it. I think I need to clean it off,
Mm-hmm.
but other than that, I even opened up writing programs and decided I'm going to go with Scrivener.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, wrote out a sentence, just kind of get me started. And then after that, I started working on a file structure for how I want to do things. So I started going through my US. It was like a USB hard drive I got plugged in. So I went through files, tried to decide how I'm going to do a structure. Then I went through my C drive and I've started to put things that I think are worthy of keeping and starting to organize that. And yeah, so that is, I
Dude,
think, the extent of pretty much what I did.
dude,
Made a few procrastination videos, I think.
you're a badass. Well done.
Thank you.
You rocked it. That's pretty cool. So a follow-up question. What about Scrivener did you choose, like, made you choose Scrivener over something else?
I chose Scrivener because of the organizational system they have to the left of your writing area. Helps you organize things a little bit nicer, in my opinion, than just sticking with Word or something like that.
Nice. This is for, if anybody else is writing, they might want to like look into Scrivener, and if they
I usually just opened up a blank document, went with it. But this last time, I was just actually going through everything, and I found a basically kind of like a template help file that kind of like was a tutorial for Scrivener. And after I read through a little bit of that, I was like, well, I think I might use the fiction template where it has, the character sheet and the world building sheet and all these things already put in, and I can just kind of see their pattern and mimic it. And I chose it. It was nice.
That's awesome. That sounds really cool. Okay. Another question. Did you end up using your notebook to the left at all?
Yes, I did. I actually am right now. I used it to make my notes for getting things done. So I have like a list that I checked off as I went along, and then I had just basically any kind of ideas I came up with or whatnot as I was working on things. I just kind of used it to write out whatever I was thinking. It wasn't very much because I was honestly just working mostly. I didn't get a chance to really do any creative thought practices, but it's there, able to be used, and I did do one weird idea apparently.
That's cool though. I mean,
So
the fact that you're starting to use it that's awesome.
yes, I will concur. It was a good idea. How did your week go?
Well, I got the video edited. And it was Tuesday when I thought to myself, how am I going to describe why I didn't get my goals done?
Tuesday.
It was Tuesday. Okay, so here's my problem. Well, I just kind of want to go through it all. I didn't know where to begin. Well, I kind of did, but I also didn't have like. There were so many steps, and I didn't know where to start with, and like. I was so focused on the big picture of like, okay, I have to make a character and then draw in two other styles on top of that, and then it was like, okay, so what kind of character do I want to make? Okay, so I have to go dive into that and figure out like what kind of character I want to make, and will it be applicable to what we want to make? And it's like, I got lost in not wanting. It was like too big of a goal to do in one.
So you didn't break it down far enough, and maybe
Right.
Well, I was guilty of that myself the other week.
Yeah, and I think I wanted to be so good because I was like my plan was like, okay, I'll just do it during my work week because like it's perfect. Like I can scribble out ideas and do stuff during my work week. But then I was like, I'll just save it for Friday, and it became Friday, and I had every opportunity to do it, and I just was like, I don't really want to because I didn't feel it wasn't like I didn't want to draw. It was like I didn't want to start this daunting project.
Mm. So you saw the hole and you used it as a whole reason
Yeah.
um, not to begin. Hmm.
Yeah, and then I also noticed that I didn't draw very much this week. I think to avoid because if I'm not drawing what I'm supposed to be drawing, I shouldn't be drawing.
Well, you know what helped me out in my notebook
Mm-hmm.
with kind of what you're talking about is when I started to do the Photoshop aspect, you know, I was going to get basically my pad working, right? And I have, when I first began, when I made the list before we started the week, I had Photoshop with a little square next to it. That was it. It was like Photoshop. But when I started to be able to get, and I knew what that meant. It meant get my pad working, open up Photoshop, make it all seem like it works. But before I began, it was like, oh, I have to update Photoshop now, so I have to open up Adobe whatchamacallit. So I created to the right of that a new little box that was like updated Photoshop as a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And as I came up with, and then there was another problem. The pad button was broken; it wouldn't turn on. So I created a new pad broken. You know, to so that as I discovered um, tasks that needed to be done to complete what I thought was going to be easy, I felt like I still had goals being realized because I didn't know those were complications. And each complication that arose, I created a new checkbox for so that even if I never got to finish Photoshop for whatever reason, I would be like, well, I got further and these are the things I did. And ultimately, like, let's say if the pad wouldn't have worked because it was just broken, I broke it with the chisel or whatnot, then at least I know, okay, this is why, this is how deep I got in that tree. And I almost got, the Photoshop checked out for this week, but I just quite couldn't do it. Maybe that something like that could have helped you out in that.
Yeah, yeah. I should have. I like you said, I should have broken down the goal a little bit more. And having like check boxes for the things I did accomplish, I think would help spur me on to keep like an analogy I'm thinking of is we get lost in the rabbit hole of completing a project, whereas what you're suggesting would kind of like be a map for it.
Well, we simplify in our mind what these tasks. It's like, oh, I want to write a novel. Oh, okay. Do I have a checkbox for every 120,000 words that's going to end up being or whatnot? And no, we don't. We're just like, oh, novel, no problem. I'll just knock that out this 6 months. And there's so many steps to these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in our mind we just go, oh yeah, it's going to be easy. I'll just do this, and we don't realize that every thought in it can be uncomfortable, can be a reason to quit, and we need to break it down into simple tasks. And sometimes those simple tasks are going to take much longer than we think. We need to account for that increase in steps.
Yeah.
Ha.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not happy I didn't complete my goal, but like, I already felt defeated by Tuesday. I
Well,
was
what
like,
about the procrastination video that you were crazy about?
yeah, I
Did
was
you
excited to
complete
get.
it?
No, I wanted to. I just I wanted to put up a dark and darker video because I've been playing a whole lot of that, and I just haven't got a chance. And I recorded some stuff, but it wasn't like it was just like snippets of stuff. Nothing like I'd want to put up, but
I played a little bit of that.
yeah,
I stink.
dude, me too. But it's so much fun. Um,
I, I'm 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 on the more of the negative side of that game than
oh,
than I am
what
on the
what?
positive.
All right, well, just talk to me about it.
It doesn't have the feel that I thought it when you described it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was going to feel different. This feels more like, and I think you have too little life, too little HP, um, and I feel like it doesn't let you have a little fun. It's like there's just yeah, you're gonna die from the elements that are closing in on you, and you're going to die from the people, and you're gonna die from the things in like 2 or 3 hits, and that's there you go. Deal with it. And it I just wish it would have felt a little bit more like I could be a badass if I really wanted to. It felt
Mm-hmm.
like if I play that game, I'm just gonna go into my levels, and as soon as I start playing, I'm just gonna get ganked anyway by some high level rogue or something, and there you go. I don't know. It just doesn't let me have fun with what I wanted it to be,
Mm-hmm.
and I can understand how for PvP it can scratch some kind of itch, but for me, I wanted more of a NPC versus my team, and I wanted it to feel a little bit more like a live D&D
Mm-hmm.
um, thing that maybe like me and you could play, and you were the rogue and I was the whatever fighter or something, and it just doesn't feel like that. So I'm not really enjoying it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. If you're looking more of a PV or a PVE aspect,
Yeah.
and like a more of like a dungeon crawler than like a PvP dungeon. I like to do like little sneaky stuff. Like as the ranger, they get traps, and so I'll trap a door by so like when they open it and they take a step through, they get stuck in my trap, and then I'll just fill their head with arrows, and it's really fun for me. But yeah, and then like if I'm playing like the rogue, I'll just go invisible if I hear a group nearby. I'll just go invisible, let them walk by, and then I'll stab the one in the back.
I would like to see people play, but every video that I watch on it, it's like, oh, I get 5 seconds of them fighting something, and then it's fast forwards to another scene where they're 5 seconds of attacking something. Maybe somebody dies, and their commentary, and I'm like, I just want to see somebody straight run. You know, let me
Yeah,
just let me
they're
just
trying to cutting
watch
out
it.
the
Yeah, they're
cutting
just
out
trying
the
to. Oh, these are the interesting parts. But I'm trying to view the whole experience. That
right.
each level feels like it's fast enough that I don't need it
Yeah.
clipped for me. Um, but
Yeah,
anyway,
maybe
that's just
I'll
the way I feel
record
like it.
something for the game and just like even if I get my ass whooped, just put it up. Just kind of show the process.
Mm. But I think conceptually, it has nothing but good ideas. I just am not a fan of some of it.
I like I like the easy death of it, and eventually the monsters can become really trivial. They're like zombies in 7 days, where like as long as you like wait for them to swing, you can swing at them because they've got a cooldown on their attack. It's basically like if you've played 7 days, you'll get comfy with killing the monsters pretty quickly. Now
Killing
I
the
do
monsters
know,
doesn't feel too bad.
yes, and I do know there are bosses,
Mm.
and like there's a second level where you can go down and fight like harder monsters, which I've been down there once and got absolutely obliterated. And there's at least one boss. I know of one. I've never seen it, but I saw a YouTube video mentioning it. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. It was just like the title of it. And I was like, oh, because I don't really watch a lot of YouTube videos about gaming. Most of my YouTube videos are about like art and that type of stuff. And it's like my way of like feeling like I'm progressing while not actually doing anything.
I do it a lot. Well, did you play any other games?
Um, I played some Dead by Daylight, but that's a weekly thing I play with my roommates. Not really. I played a tiny bit of WoW, but
Okay.
not a whole lot.
So when you decided on Tuesday to basically not do
the goal,
anything,
the goal on Tuesday wasn't necessarily like. I was like thinking of if I don't succeed, what kind of thing? Because I wanted to be as real about it as possible, so I knew I was going to talk about it.
so but you made the decision Tuesday. So how do you see the weekdays as not days to get things done then? Like, is there specific
I
days?
absolutely do see the weekdays as things to get stuff done. Especially while I'm at work, I love to be accomplishing other things. Because I work for 10 hours a day. Well, I'm really there for 11 and a half. But it's just that, like, I don't know. I felt intimidated by the project, and I feel like I ended up biting off more than I could chew. And I think I need to break it down into smaller bites. Even if that means like 1 week my goal is make a character, the next week is okay, now draw in a different style. And the next week would be drawn in a different style.
So did you properly estimate some of those goals before you decided to put them on your list?
No. No, I just like I figured I'd have enough time during my weekday to get those done. And I just never started. I did
Well,
do
I
some
took
drawing last
basically
night,
a week off the other day too, so or
but I
the other
know.
week.
And it's not like I wanted to not be successful. It wasn't like I was like, "Oh, I can't wait next week to talk about how I failed." But it's like I don't know. It was easier to not do it than do it. My barrier to entry was too much, it felt like. Hmm? Hmm? Because the barrier to entry was I need to make a character, and then I need to figure out what that character is supposed to be. Yeah. And then I'd have to go and learn a different art style. I had two different art styles in mind. So I knew what art styles I wanted to try, but it was more of a Starting was hard.
So what what I'm really curious about is your thought process when you decided to not do. What I'm curious is why after you decided to not do the drawing early in the Tuesday era, did you also not decide to do a procrastination video? Um, for me, when I was basically doing nothing for the last, I got a procrastination video up, kind of like because I felt like I needed to do something that would be like minimal for me. Like, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I can play a game, and I could record that, and I could put that up. But I'm curious as to why you didn't do that,
Um, every time I
even
would
though
want
you
to end up
played.
recording, right? Every time I ended up wanting to record, my brother would be like, "Oh, I want to play," because he'd see me hopping on Dead by or Dark by Darker, Dark by Darker, Dark and Darker. There we go. And because of that, like I didn't want to record him and my gameplay. I wanted to record like solo gameplay.
Can't you make yourself invisible or something? Hide your status on Steam?
Yeah, I didn't want to hide from him. I mean, I could have, but I didn't think about it.
Well, your goals should trump your feelings, Joe.
You're right. You're right. I should have. I I should have. This is my week to fail, James. How does
I
it
don't
feel to
consider
be?
it a fail. I just want to make sure that I ask some hard questions so that maybe it'll make it more difficult to do nothing
Yeah.
the next time you are posed with similar feelings. Um, because honestly, my money was on, oh, Joe's going to have this crap done by Wednesday. You know, all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
when you said, "Oh, I'm going to make 3 art styles," I thought, "Oh, he's already done this crap before. It's not even going to be a challenge for him." And
Not
he's
never
going to
done this
have this
before.
done. And but I was actually dumbfounded when you said you this was a situation, because I also potentially estimated your state of productivity in its rested state as much higher than where I was at. And so I honestly am quite shocked. My money would have been on you completing it at all today. Um, so I don't want to skirt over your side. I want to see, okay, you're in a state where you need to be more protective as well. And I need to try to do my best um, to prod you a little bit
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
side. But it's a new week.
It is a
It's a
new
new
week.
week.
It's a new
So
week.
let's focus on how we can make this new week successful. So look inside yourself for a moment, and do you
I
have your notebook open?
yes.
Where do you usually make your goals?
In this notebook.
Okay. Tell me what your weekly goal is going to be, and think about breaking them down into actionable tasks.
Okay. I I would like I think an easy goal for me, and I want to keep it easy cuz I want to succeed. Um an easy goal for me would be come up with a theme for a character and then draw that character. Okay. I wrote those down. They exist now. And I'd also like to upload a procrastination video.
I would love to see full Dark and Darker runs just back to back,
Okay.
personally. I mean, you could cut them to be the best, X amount of runs. They don't have to be each failed attempt, you know.
Right.
You could edit them in a row, nice. But I would love to see that because I haven't been able to find that from anybody without
Okay.
their stupid commentary about their mothers and all these things. It's like, dude, I don't care about your little immature jokes thrown in every 2 seconds.
Okay. So I feel like these are very accomplishable goals for me. Yeah. All right. What kind of goals do you have this week?
Well, I have a few things I didn't really do that I've added onto my list. One of them was file structure. I think that's going to be an ongoing thing because I have USB sticks from who knows how many years piled up that I have to go through and find out, okay, which redundant stories are on each one and where's so that's going to be a project. But I'm still going to put it on my list because I want it to be something I'm focusing on. Uh, Backup system schedule. I need to determine how I'm going to back up, but that's probably after I finish my file stuff. But it's more of like a project list almost. Besides that, though, I want to put in some writing time, I think.
Okay.
Um,
What's a good
whether
what's a good easy goal for writing that you could accomplish?
I would think the minimum for me to feel accomplished in some way would be to put in an actual writing session. And for me, that would be at least like a few hours. So in a
Okay.
time, at one moment, few hours of writing straight, just to take the cobwebs off and just kind of remember what it's like to sit down and write for a little bit.
Okay.
That's probably a bare minimum. Um, at least a 2 hour writing block, no break. I need that. And I also want to do some just do some Photoshop stuff. I just want to either I want to do some tutorials on that type of stuff, and I also want to just play around and draw something, no matter how pathetic it is.
Yeah.
And
When we get better, just be bad.
let's see. And I want to feel like I want to get it done. Like I don't want to fail. Like I want to build momentum. I
Right.
did things last week and I want to it's almost like a goal in and of itself, but to remain a streak active in feeling like I've started a process of progression in productivity. So I want to keep the streak alive. Um, for productivity. It's
Okay.
not really a goal, but it's a goal. It's something that it's like an added incentive.
So
Um,
I understand that. However, I feel like by doing these and like laying out our goals and like learning like because we're not only just learning like how to accomplish goals, but like how we as people accomplish goals. So I think just by doing these, we're accomplishing things. We are learning about ourselves. We're actually getting things done. Like, sure, I didn't do my goals this week, but we still got like a whole lot of other things set up. Like we made sure that the audio was good today. We got the video edited, and we got that up on Sunday, Saturday, or Monday, Sunday, one of those two. And like it's yeah, I think I got it up on Monday. It's as we're doing this, we're getting goals done. We're making progress. So like I wouldn't try to focus too much on like every week has to be perfect. I would
yeah,
say
getting rid of that goal.
let yourself let yourself fail, and that's okay because we're gonna get right back on that horse and we're gonna keep going.
Then I also want to get a productivity or procrastination video up, which is well, I haven't been recording Stardew Valley videos in instead of productivity.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I feel
Right.
like they're more like I want to play a game and I might as well record it and you know
Yeah.
get practice in and that kind of thing. So I want to just add a Stardew Valley play to the week as well.
Okay.
Um, and I also need to start looking into KDP or some kind of understanding in the writing scenario. Um, because if we're going to
Oh.
be starting to push towards doing our project, we need to start pushing towards doing our layout run through basic project as well. And now that I'm getting something done, I feel like it's. I've started to read through that type of stuff before, and it's pretty boring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I know it could take a while to fully do all that. So I feel like if we can at least begin at some point and do a little bit of it each week, then by the time we're ready to actually utilize it, we'll have already finished all the boring back end stuff
Mm-hmm.
in time.
I'm on board that.
So I'm going to put KDP um, uh, start. What are the not the facts, but it's the
Frequently asked questions.
no their their clauses and all that stuff. I can't find the legalese kind of the agreement, that kind of thing. We got to
Okay.
read through all the legal agreements and all that binding stuff. Understand all their terminologies and limitations. That stuff changes so frequently that even if we started looking at videos, it's probably different now. So we just need to understand it. And if that's at some point something that we're going to be doing, we might as well be experts on it.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to revisit your writing goal.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a set number on there.
That
And I
number of
was
what?
hours.
Oh, I have 2 hour writing
Okay.
block written on here.
Okay, good. Because when you told me it was like a few hours, and I was worried that we are making an arbitrary goal.
Oh, I feel like that's for me. I like to once I get started, I like to have a little bit of time to just kind of really write. I feel like a few hours is my minimum of what I need to get in there and get beyond a scratch the surface kind of thing.
All right. Okay. So for my goals, I'm going to think of a theme for the character. Did you have a theme in mind, or do you just want me to do my own?
Well, I was going to ask you, is it going to be like, have you at least decided on, male, female, something to give you some kind of, so you don't have to just completely blank, character. What are they? Are they animal? Are they, and then you find a reason to go. It's kind of like when you ask somebody, hey, what do you want to eat? Well, I don't know. Or if you instead say, well, do you want to go to McDonald's? Do you want to go to Burger King? Do you want to go to Taco Bell? Give them
Right.
limit the options. So how can you limit your options so that you don't blank stare into doing nothing?
Um, I have an idea of what I want to make. I'm going to lean with the theme of Bumblebee.
Transformer or insect?
Insect.
Okay.
I'm going to make humanoid characters on around that theme.
Well, you will be a very busy bee.
Oh, shit. Gross. Scary. It's scary how much you have there. Too much stuff on your desk. So, and you said your stuff was to the left, right? Not on your mouse, right?
That's right.
Okay. Because on my camera, because we've reversed it, it looks like when you looked to your left, it looked like to your right.
Right
So
now,
like
I'm
look
looking
left.
to my left at my
Yep.
my journal stuff,
Because on our screen, it looks like you're looking to the left,
or the right.
to
You mean?
your or to your right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the flip. It's all on my left. I have my
Yep.
coffee, which is what you just saw, and I got my normal personal journal, as well as my get it done journal sitting there. And all is well. Everything looks pretty put together in my mind. I'm liking the feel of getting stuff done now.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I feel like the boost of momentum and everything is what a lot of people could use. Just just a mindset of I'm going to get it done. And but I think when I used to break it down into daily progress, it didn't really help at all. I think I put too much on myself, getting everything done with family and all these things, and fitting it all into my day. And I could only do 15 minutes of this and 15 minutes of that. I think spreading it out into the week has been the most intelligent thing I could do for actually relieving the stress and all that pressure from the daily grind, turning it into the weekly grind is much more freeing, and because it is the backlash on yourself. It's like daily. If you had a daily, if I had a daily write, or I felt like crap,
You'd quit so
yeah,
fast.
I probably already did because of that. And now it's like, okay, my dog doing dog things. And now it's like, okay, I know what it's like to have a 10-year period where you don't do anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And when you realize how quickly years pass, and you have that chunk of time to look back on, you go, okay, how many, if I had done one decent task each week for the last 10 years, where would I be right now? I would have completed something by now,
And there's
easily.
also something like this last week I felt it was like a lot of apathy. Like whereas the week before I had so much I had to get done, but I got it all done because it was just something I had to do. Whereas this week I felt like I didn't have it's like I was missing steps in order to start the process of getting things done. And I think it was just like actionable, keyword actionable goals.
So, are you going to succeed this week?
I see these feel like actionable goals. Yeah. I'm happy with these goals. I feel like I can already accomplish I've already accomplished one character or one goal already. And that was just picking a theme.
So, there are actionable goals that I think does help a lot. And one of the reasons I think I was able to finish my last week of goals pretty much was because I felt like you were ready for me to be where you were at to work on the projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that we could start to work together on that. And I felt like I was not ready.
Right.
Sometimes there's kind of goals that you may have for yourself, but in our little supercomputers here, we know that they don't have to do with the progression of the major. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like if you don't draw three characters, how's that really going to affect us completing our first crappy project? Even it's not going to affect
Well,
it at all.
it
Uh,
might because I mean, it's going to be more for practice for me in learning how to imitate or steal from other styles.
okay, so there's some, and for me, nothing, not even writing a 2 hour writing block is going to affect our uh, first scenario. So what I'm trying to say is, are we are we just making goals? Should we instead separate them now between what we want to do personally
Mm-hmm.
and what we want to do collectively?
Oh, I get what you're saying. So like have like personal goals and then goals that are specifically for the project.
Right. I think we're at that level, I think, now that I'm at least to the point where I began.
Okay. Yeah, no, cuz yeah, that I think that would spark some more excitement about it for me too. Is like we're actually working on the project.
And that's kind of where I was going with it, was the excitement level of completing each of the goals. The reason why I was so adamant to do all of them was because in my background, I knew that each of these steps were a necessary element to be able to get to the point where we're doing what I thought you wanted us to be able to do.
Right.
So it was like I had that extra incentive, but I don't feel like I will have the extra incentive. The 2 hour writing block is just a personal, clean yourself and prepare to start to write again. Okay, yeah,
Right.
but not going to progress us. Okay. Tutorials in Photoshop. Yes, that's more in line with doing our stuff. Um, Play around and draw, more in line with our group goals. Stardew Valley, none. KDP, read through agreements, legalese. That is
Mhm.
a group thing that I think should be something that we think about doing together at some point.
Mhm. I agree. Okay. So, what are some goals that I could accomplish that works towards our main project?
Well, read off your goals for this week and let's categorize them as either personal or group,
Okay.
first of all.
So, picking a theme for the character that I'm drawing. That's it's part of the draw that character. So, I'm drawing the character that I picked the theme for. Just a character. I suppose in a roundabout way it's more practice for me to draw characters, but it's
Okay.
not necessarily directed specifically for our project.
Okay. So it
And then,
bolsters it, but it's not exactly, it's more personal than it is group.
and then upload a procrastination video, which is just. Oh, and then
Okay.
also edit this video. But that was just
Yeah,
a given at this point. I should still put it on here so I can cross it off.
you do. Yes. I think you need to add that KDP at least for us to start at
Okay.
some point, even if it's just a half an hour of starting to comb through and understand the terms
Okay.
and agreements.
I put down KDP research.
At some point, I thought it would be wise to start a bank account so that we have all that ready for the various things that are going to happen. I don't know if we want to do that this week.
Probably not yet. So what I could do is get a PayPal set up because I think we can get paid through PayPal on Patreon, and then then once we actually have some money in there, we go get a bank set up, so we can transfer it into the bank.
Don't you have to have a bank account to attach to PayPal to start it?
No.
Okay. Okay. So are you going to add that to a list of something?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll add that to my list. Set up PayPal.
You'll need to look into whether there's certain kind of setups that you need to do if you're doing it for some kind of business and or group. Because tax wise and all that, eventually they're
Mm-hmm.
going to want to know that it's attached to two individuals.
Okay.
It's a little extra work than just the PayPal then. So you might want to have that as two goals, one being
Okay.
set up and one being research the scenario.
All right. I'll just put some squares around them as two separate ones because I have set up PayPal and then business question marked.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've got some quite a few more videos or videos goals that are now specifically about the project, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to do the KDP initial. It's almost like figuring out how the templates work and seeing just in reality how it prints up and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. Um, even though it won't be a real thing, um, I feel like it's a necessary step for me to just see it, feel it,
Okay.
you know, um, see how the quality is, understand what it looks like. Maybe even make a mistake, intentionally. Like what happens if we, bleed these lines over into the next page or do something weird? What happens when that prints up? I don't know, but I'm excited to get to that point.
Sounds fun. I'm excited too. Um, because I mean, with that, with like the weird bleeding stuff, and like you're saying, we could make some interesting like concepts. Just kind of do our own thing with it.
That's true. Well, have you listened to anything or watched anything that has been insightful or anything in the last week?
Not really. Um, Mostly I've been playing Dark and Darker, working, and it's I wanted to talk about this. Part of like part of the reason why I didn't get anything done is because it feels like during my work week I get burnt out, and then
On the
when
10-hour
it's
shifts, perhaps.
yeah, and then it's Friday, I'm like, oh, I can finally relax, and I didn't do anything productive.
Hmm. You know,
And it's like I'm
I
still
thought about that.
based. It's like getting stuck in this cycle of I'm exhausted from work, just like mentally. Like I'm not exhausted, but mentally I'm just so pooped. And then I relax, and I don't want to go work. I don't want to work on anything. And it's like I'm stuck in that like it could be a cycle of I'm too exhausted to better my life towards something nicer because I'm exhausted from my work.
I thought about the 40-hour you know, 10-hour days comparatively to the 8-hour. Um, and at first I thought, oh man, he's got this extra day, that he can do anything in. And then I thought to myself, that is potentially worse because for me, every day I have to make a decision whether to get something done or not in a limited amount of time. And if I decide to not get something done, I know I have each day, I still have that 2-hour block at least that I can potentially do it with. And, but with you, it seems to be pretty much all pushed to that extra day. Your Friday, you kind of have to choose to get something done, especially since it's sandwiched right before Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You have to either choose to not relax in a full day or not, and you don't get that extra day in between or whatnot. So it can be harder to get all done.
Yeah, something I'm just gonna have to get comfortable with, like just considering Friday another work day.
Either that or see if you can move to 8 hours in a day instead. Make that.
I really like having 3 days off, though.
Well, then you have to have control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when I work a normal 8-hour day, um, I consider it that I have 6 hours left in my day to do something.
See, I only have
Um,
like
you have at
two, three.
least, yeah, you at least have it cut in half from that. Um,
Because how long are you actually at work? Like, what time do you start?
1 1 p.m. to 10, so nine
So,
hours.
right. And I work 6 a.m. to 5:30, so on 11 and a half hours.
Right? And then if you assume 8 hours of sleep, that only gives you maximum of 4 hours if you perfectly decided to go to sleep and you're instantly asleep.
Right. And it's like,
So
then I have dinner, and then after that, I've got like 2 hours to myself, basically.
yeah, where it is also most likely the end of your night, which means you're already as drained as possible. Whereas my setup is I begin my extra hours before I work 100% rested with
Mm-hmm.
hours to do it. The setup is a little more advantageous. I don't know if you can position yourself to have your extra hours in the beginning before you work. That would be getting up really early for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it could be a way around if you turn to that extra hour that you wake up early to relax into an extra hour of getting something done. You may not have to worry about Friday. It could be a
Well,
full day of relaxation for you every week.
yeah, that's true. I don't know.
Something to think
Something to
about.
think about. Jinx. Yeah.
Because it is about positioning your week for success. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's about taking in all these factors and deciding how can I be successful with the allotted time scenarios that I have. And being realistic about your situation. You have Friday off. Okay, but can you break that up consistently into half of the day relaxed, getting it done in the morning time, and then the rest of the day playing games and doing what you want? Can you consistently do that or not?
Right. I think it's possible because not yesterday, but the week before, I had a lot of stuff I had to get done, and I did it all. on Friday, and it was not that bad. I think it's because I had other people relying on me. And so like I didn't feel like, because didn't have the choice. I think it's because it had to be done. There was no choice in the matter.
Yeah, I operate pretty good with has to get done
Yeah.
scenarios a little bit more as well.
So how do I
But
get
we're
that
trying
same
to find
feeling?
consistency. Yes. How do you find the consistency with that on
Mm-hmm.
Friday? Do you define these periods as this is the work period and this is going to be the block and this is how it is all the time? And if you decide on that, are you going to screw up Thursday night? Are you going to be like, well, I can stay up a few hours later, and mess it all up? Like, you have to be true to yourself. How are you
Yeah.
going to do this? And how do you make it successful?
I don't know. I want to see how this week goes and lean into, because my goal is to find some time to do a lot of this during the work week.
Okay.
And so that way, when it comes to Friday, I have most, if not all of this stuff done. Because Friday night, I like to rewatch the video I did last night. Because, I'm cool. And so that way, Friday, I can still work if I want to. But I'll have a lot of this stuff done. Because I can do stuff in between my work.
And I can't. So
How come?
I'm just crappier, I guess, at doing that. I just can't do other things while I'm working.
Is it because you take so much VTO?
Maybe.
I'm not jealous or anything.
I mean, I only took almost 2 days worth of VTO this
Jeez.
last week.
So jealous. I really shouldn't be, because if I had access to VTO, I would never have a paycheck.
Yeah, I pretty much didn't this last week.
Yeah, and I need to be saving too, because I do want to get my own place and all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. So it's a blessing that I don't have access to VTO, because I know I would take it.
Well, it sounds like you got some better scenarios. When do you want to do the KDP terms and at least a half an hour of that this week?
I mean, I'm motivated to do it like right after this video.
Okay. I can agree to that too. That sounds good. And I hope you get your procrastination video up. I'd like to see if the first one of that. I'm definitely going to do a Stardew this weekend, at least one.
Nice. The people are screaming for him.
Oh, you know
They
it.
crave him.
And I'm a little scared about the writing scenario, but I'm excited all at the
Oh,
same time.
what
So
scares you about it?
just it's been so long, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, what do I even? I don't
Do you
know.
have like ooh? Do you have anything you want to write? Do you have something in mind that you're gonna write?
No, I
So you should
just
put that
gonna
as a
go in
goal.
blind.
You should put that as a goal, as finding something you're gonna write about.
No, I'm a on the fly writer. I don't
Okay.
even no world building, nothing. Just go in, write.
All right.
The way I like it.
Crazy. Okay. Is there anything else we want to discuss before we end it here?
Outro intros. How are we gonna start getting that going on? Are they needed? Are they not?
Um, Not yet. I mean, I feel like,
Okay, that works.
eventually, but not yet. Maybe eventually. Maybe we will never do that.
Maybe. Okay. Well, I want to say thank you for watching this. Hopefully, you can get something out of our struggles.
Yep. And we're going to keep struggling. This isn't the last time we're going to be getting on here and being like, well, we've got a problem. It's just because we're human and we're going to make mistakes. And so are you. And so it's like, we have to learn not only how to accomplish goals, but how do we accomplish goals as individuals? Because everyone's going to be different and like what things get in their way. You have to reflect on it.
Yeah,
this is our video reflecting on it.
But pushing, like no matter what.
Yeah, and I think pushing is gonna, like, I think we're lucky that we have each other to push us. Because I mean, maybe next week you'll be the one that needs some pushing, and I'll be there with this. But this week you're the pusher.
And it's good. It's at least not one-sided every time. But and I didn't really realize that I was going to have to be a side that was doing that, because that's, you know, I've been procrastinating for so long. I'm like, oh, everybody's got it better than me. Everybody's got their stuff handled right, and maybe that's the way that you feel. But it's not as true as you make it out in your head. Everybody doesn't have it, you know, every week better than you. It's you got to use everything in your life is a strength and a weakness depending on how you use it, and you have to negotiate your advantages and your disadvantages in a way to get it done. That's what you have to do. We all have the same amount of hours in a day, and it's the choices. We don't, oh, I didn't have enough time. No, it's you didn't make the time.
Yeah, that's the reason why, like, I don't want to make that excuse, because I've made that excuse too many times. Like, there's no such thing as not having enough time, like you said. It's you didn't make time for it. You make time to think for things that are important to you.
So hopefully you guys took something out of this and can use it. And thank you for watching. And subscribe if this is something that you're needing in your life. And eventually, hopefully, we're able to comment on your scenarios. If you have questions, we loving to answer that as best we can from people with practice going through the same thing you're going through. And
yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm excited to look at this back after we've accomplished our goals and just seeing that progress. It's going to be so interesting. I love that we're recording this.
yes, it is going to be interesting watching it over at some point and seeing it. Well, subscribe, like, do all that if you're getting,
If you want to.
Yeah, getting down to that road.
In the words of James, smash that like button.
Ew.
I remember that being something you really liked last week, so I thought I'd include it here.
Thanks for watching. This has been Procrastination. Wait, how about Productivity and Procrastination?
This is Productation and Productation. Signing out. Okay. Okay. This is an addendum. This is the postscript. The well, I guess PV post video.
You know it.
So PV. James had actually written down a few things that he wanted to, that he like noticed, and he wanted to like go over them with us, and we wanted to discuss them. So doing it off camera, we decided to do it on camera because that's who we are.
So the first thing was the previous video from the last week. I noticed that I had made kind of like a commitment to do something on Saturday, but I never did. Saturday rolled around, played some more, life went on. Said I'd do it on Sunday. Sunday came around. And then I told myself on Sunday, well, Sunday is my day to relax. So therefore, I don't want to mess with that pattern that I have already defined for myself. So then the next day on my work Monday, I decided to take the day off from work. And, but I actually did work on all the things that I said I was going to do that week. And it all worked out because I took the day off as I was working on these things and not before, which was my problem before.
So I want to dive into that for a second. So you were already working on it, and you're like, well, I still have some more work to do, so I'm going to take time off to get that done, right?
Yeah. I was discussing all the things I wanted to do with my wife, and I said, I really want to just take the day off and do these things. And she agreed to that. But in my mind, I know that if she wasn't there, I probably would have ended up playing a game. But because she was like, all right, well, let's work on the first thing. And that's when we started working on the banner. Okay. And it just kind of never stopped.
Accountability from your wife seems to have been a big part of that too, then.
It was.
See, that's the type of stuff I want to dive into, because that's interesting.
And because I know, if I was being honest, that I probably would have still found time to play a game in the morning before I work. But she kept me true. I couldn't lie my way out of it. I kind of went through it. I was trying to get to the point where I could play a game eventually, and it just ended up working a lot. I can't even remember if I played much that day. But it was a big factor. So, I mean, if you are somebody who has the ability to take off time whenever they want, maybe it could work for you. But I think ultimately it's about finding that production in the defined week that we have.
Right. So I would also cautious you to think, sure, you could take some time off to accomplish things in your life, but what's stopping you from doing it in your off time? Because more than likely, if it's distractions, they're more than likely going to end up doing the same thing if you take time off.
Yeah, most of it's family. Like last night, I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, jeez.
Playing Stardew Valley with my family. And they were pushing. They were keeping me up. They're like, "Oh, one more day." It was like hours later. It was like every night. One more day. Oh, we almost got the turn in for this. Oh, one more day, and we'll have enough eggs to give to Gus. It was like, are you serious? And it was. I was really tired by the time I went to bed.
I believe it. Man, I went to bed at 11. I was like, this is really late for me.
So that might bleed into why I thought this last video that we made, just the addendum pre to this, why our energy levels might have been a little lower than what we were used to. But at the same time,
You were sleepy.
A little bit sleepy. But at the same time, I didn't. It's easier to be excited about the theoretical you. It's easier to be excited about what you're going to do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to be excited about the productivity that you've done and what you're going to do the next week. It just is. And I think that we romanticize these goals, these very long goals in our mind, because we have these, bursts of dopamine when we think about these grand things being done and then, but actually accomplishing them intellectually, each period, step by step, you have to be ready for the inevitable less druggy feel
Right.
of the slog.
And I think that's going to be part of like where we come together and we basically push each other to get stuff done. To like,
The accountability has been immense.
oh yeah. Yeah. I think it's a big part of the reason why we're still doing these is because we're doing it together. And that there hasn't been like a single one of us has been like, we're not doing it on Saturday, or can we skip Saturday?
Oh, it's
That's
not
not
even
even been
an
an-
option in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, that it's not in mine either, because it's like, then we'd look, I don't know. It's not even like looking like something, but it's like, I don't even want to start down that road.
That, unless somebody is puking and in bed,
Yeah.
there's no, to me, it's not an option. It's okay. I've done nothing this week. Fess up time.
Yep. Yeah, it's like, here's my list of sins.
There you go. That's the way I feel about it. And it's because I've defined this as the period of time where I'm going to accomplish my goals, and I'm not going to be stopped. And I think that's where step number one is for everyone, is they get to a point where they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's when you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and go, okay, I didn't do anything. Why haven't I done anything? What incremental changes do I need to make these things happen? Because I'm not going to give up. It just didn't work. Why didn't it not work? Examine yourself, make a change, see if the change pushes you forward in a positive way, and build on that.
Yeah. I think that's, yeah, exactly it. It's basically you become fed up with not getting things done. But it's more than that. Like, I honestly think that, sure, we might be at this point if we were doing this solo where we've gotten this much stuff done. But I think having each other to keep us accountable is super integral. At least for our personality types. Everyone's personality type is going to be different, but for our personality types, having these expectations from one another to get things done. Because I fully expect you to complete all of your tasks this week. Just like I expect you to fully expect me to complete my tasks this week.
Yeah, I actually do. I don't see there being a pattern that Joe is going to have for not doing his tasks this time. And maybe there is a part of us that also just doesn't want that shame. I didn't accomplish anything the week before, and I felt like I did not want to have that happen. I did not want that repeated. What am I going to do? What am I going to say?
I don't feel great this week, and it's because I didn't accomplish anything.
And on the opposite spectrum is I feel great for doing the things that I did, and I want to feel great again.
Mm-hmm. It might be equivalent to like there's a connection here between being able to like it's like the single player versus multiplayer RPG where if you have a certain piece of armor that you got from a hard boss, you can look at it and be like, okay, I did that. That's awesome. But having recognition in a single player versus a multiplayer where someone else in a multiplayer game is like, oh, you have that armor. That's awesome. That's a completely different feel than eventually that feeling of, oh, I got that armor wears off.
That's true.
Just like the recognition of it, of I've accomplished this goal and I get recognition that I did accomplish this goal. Because you get the initial, like, hey, I did this. Awesome. And then during the weekly thing, you get another, you did this. Good job. Because I called you a badass because you're a freaking badass this week.
Mm. Yeah, that feels good. I want that to continue, definitely. And, you know, once you get in the motion of getting that done, then all of a sudden, those longer term goals don't seem so daunting anymore because it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, everything I said was true about in a year, we're going to be completely different in our situations here. In a year, we will have outputted some kind of templatey test book. We will understand the processes of writing some kind of collaborative thing in the agreement scenario with various distributors, and we'll have an understanding of a lot of the terminology. We'll be experts in our field, at least, you know, beginner experts. And that is no longer this mystical maybe. It will happen. Time is the only thing separating us from that. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I'm ready. Let's
Yeah.
progress. Let's
And
do it.
kind of like having, kind of like when you're accomplishing a big goal, what we're doing is essentially breaking down our big goal, which is like our first creation on KDP. We're breaking it down into smaller steps with these weekly goals. We're just basically doing, so sometimes we're going to have to take our weekly goals and break those down into smaller steps if we take too big of a bite. But
Yeah.
we're still working towards the goal. Like we're still,
Yeah, it's like you almost want to keep track of your levels in your personal, you know, it's like in Stardew, oh, well, I know my fighting is level 5 and I know my farming is level, you know, it'd be nice to kind of like, you know, have our it would be nice if we all had little level ups of our progression in these things, and but we are leveling up. And if we categorize this right and we start thinking about the grander group goals and the single goals now, I think it's going to help each of them. Because how can we not feel good about doing the terms and agreements after this? And then how
Right.
does that not bleed into our personal?
and I'm wondering if at what point are we going to start turning our personal, like you have a personal goal of writing for 2 hours. Would writing 2 hours towards our goal, like our like first pancake project pancake? Oh, we found the name for it. That makes me so happy. would you be able to just like write towards something for Project Pancake? And so instead of turning it into a personal goal, you could skew it towards our project goal.
Probably not this first week. I just
Okay.
feel like I need to have a little fun for a few hours. I don't need to have
Yeah.
a task. I just want to have the task itself be fun with writing. Just enjoy it. Just let my mind go. And perhaps though in the next week I'll be ready to okay, let's create some kind of basic crappy story that we can throw into a trash you know, template-y thing.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about writing for the eventual other one.
No.
Well, you
No,
know, some
I'm just
that would be a
thinking.
little too much, I think, right in the beginning.
No, absolutely. I'm just thinking something for our pancake. Cuz we don't need to glorify our pancake more than just something that we're putting on a page.
Right. Okay. Was there anything else that you thought of when you observed what we just created here in this video?
Um
Anything?
not not anything that comes to mind. Did you have anything more written down that you wanted to talk about?
Um, I don't know if I adequately said but when I defined my week, I think it matters the structure that you define. I think it takes some time and actually sit back, look at your week in its entirety from work schedule to when you sleep to how you and when you procrastinate and really kind of solidify in your mind when you would like to work each of those days along the way and when you normally would not, and try to structure it so that you can get an what you define as an adequate amount of work done in your week. I really think it takes a little bit of time and introspection, uh, and just really charting it out. Um, and if you do that, then be true to it. And that's kind of like what I did this last week, is I was true to the days I defined instead of just constantly redefining each day. Oh, well, I haven't got any day. I'll just do it tomorrow. Oh, hey, yeah, I'll just do it. It's like, no, there comes a time when you can't just be random in when you think you're going to push stuff off, because that in itself is procrastination. Instead, there comes a time when you have to grow up a little bit with how you look at your week and say, no, this is defined as a work period. I'm going to do that. There will be time for play and relaxation when I have defined it. I think that I've gotten to that point now where at least I see the value in doing it that way.
Okay.
My dog needs to go out again.
All right. I think this is
One
a good
moment.
spot to end it anyways.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Bye everybody.
Bye.